Welcome back, Juventinita, to the Juventinita, Back to Black and White podcast. My name's Daniel Anigro, and I'm live from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And today we're going to be going over the Juve-Napoli Preview, if that game even happens. But we're still going to have it. I'm fortunate enough to have someone from the other side, someone wearing the other colors. But, like I said, you guys are pretty respectful with the comment, with the questions. And, that's how I like to be. I like to have a conversation. I don't mind mixing it up, even if we have different opinions. It is what it is. That's how life is now. And I think, the more you can, have a chat, have a laugh, hopefully, and see how you see it, see how I see it, and we go our separate ways. But no, it's definitely maybe in the future we're gonna have more guests from different clubs, maybe Lazio, maybe I can get some of my cousins on, stuff like that. That would be pretty cool. But this is an honor. So thank you, Napoli Sansone. Obviously from Chicago, which is not too far away. So setting this up wasn't too bad. I know I was a little bit I pushed it back a little bit, but again, life gets in the way. But thank you for coming on, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Excited to talk the game.
Yeah, for sure. And just before we get it before we get too heated, I want to just bring it up to speed for some Juve fans. Obviously, the Champions League schedule has come out for us, or for all the teams, and we'll be starting by playing Dinamo Kiev first on October 20th, Barcelona on the 28th of October, Ferencváros of Hungary, I believe, November 4th. The home fixture for us on the 24th of November. 2nd of December, we play Dinamo Kiev, and last game of the group will be against Barcelona in Barcelona. So that's going to be interesting, so to speak. We're going to have a video on the Champions League groups, and we're going to talk about all the groups. We'll get specifically into the Juve one, and obviously the other Italian teams. But I'm going to be bringing in my best friends, hopefully one of these couple days. So we'll get into that. We'll talk about how many points we think Juve is going to come out with, but stay tuned to that. And yeah, I think it was very interesting, kind of balanced across the whole board this year, and kind of the English teams getting an easy walk. But enough of that. That'll be for later. Apparently, Khedira doesn't want to leave. That's what at least DiMarzio's reporting. Guys, I don't know what more to say about this. Like I said, I have the champagne ready when he's gone, so just still waiting for that. But apparently that's going to be we only have a couple more days. Like the window is closed, done and dusted on the 5th. I don't know if that, technically we can cut him whenever and pay him his final year's salary at any point, but the sooner the better for me, at least. But in terms of under 21 national team, Frabotta was received a call up from the U21, so it's nice to see getting back in the Azzurri colors. The growth that he's showing, which is kind of, again, like we talked about before and on Twitter, why the lineup was so different against Roma was mind-boggling to me. But we'll have to see what happens tomorrow if there's a game. But obviously, that's what we're going to be talking about in a little bit. So Pirlo thinks obviously there's a risk of not playing. Or he doesn't think there's a risk of not playing. That's when he did his pre-match press conference. He also talked about the Roma game, saying that they tried their kind of game. But maybe they're going to switch it up against Napoli. We'll see. We'll have to wait and see what that means. Dybala obviously coming from 2 months of total absence from the field. Possibly could have come on against Rome, but possibly he could have a chance now. Cuadrado on the left, yes, there's a possibility, or the return of Frabotta. I don't know. Sometimes just these moves are just getting way too ridiculous for what we've seen, especially for how well we played in the first game. Again, it was against Samp, but that was something to build on. And you go into a game against Roma where they're just really counterattacking you, potentially could take a win out of that game. It's interesting. And Morata being a player who, he's coming off of not really training or anything like that. It was an interesting decision to see him start. Kind of more transfer news. War from Lyon is pretty much done and dusted. not going to be moving in the window. I mean, we have a couple days left, but it looks like the shouts from Chelsea and maybe even Arsenal are not going to go through, according to L'Equipe. And yeah, guys, I mean, it's been pretty crazy this day. I mean, I've kind of stayed in the shadows. Came back a little bit tonight, and talking back and forth with some fans, but I don't know. Like, there's been so many reports. I don't know what's true. And actually, before we get into that, I wanted to ask you, which I forgot, we usually do at the beginning, for new guests or, um, some people that maybe would give more context. We ask, well, how did they become a Juve fan? Obviously, you're not a Juve fan, so I can't ask you that question.
Yeah.
But how did it all start with your love for Napoli? I'm really interested to hear. Is it a family thing? Give us the whole take.
Yeah, it's a family thing. My grandfather's from there. A lot of my family are Palermo fans. I'm a
Okay.
Palermo fan, but you know, we're in Serie C right now, so
Yeah, that whole story was very sad.
yeah.
Like crazy stories in Italy, with these owners, and we'll get
Yeah,
into that. Actually, we'll get into to owners because
yeah,
I got a little beef with De Laurentiis, and I've always kind of had my back and forth. I mean, and I've had issues with what Agnelli's done in a lot of things, but I just find he doesn't put the right foot forward. In certain, okay, it's just like you see when you guys really had a chance, and the whole Fiorentina lost in the hotel kind of thing. And I mean, you look at that year, and really, it was Napoli's to lose. And
yeah,
you add a few pieces at deadline, which it was like, oh, we're not going to make any moves. You have Sarri as your coach, and there's actually going to be a couple questions from the guys, from some Juve fans about what you think about Sarri. But for now, it's just what are your impressions of De Laurentiis as a president, and like I said, even that situation, like he
yeah,
doesn't reinforce in the summer, and then it goes on that you guys eventually fall off later down, like pretty close to the end of the road, and that's a big opportunity, like teams that don't have the money like Juventus do, or Milan, or Merda, as I like to call them. But um when you don't have that kind of money, and you're in the race, you got to capitalize on those situations, because you don't know necessarily when it's going to work out for you, right? Or
yeah.
they've had some pretty crappy runs, coming back from 12th, and a whole bunch of other things, right? Where it's been closer and we haven't played that well. So what do you think of your president, just in general speaking? I know he's done wonders, right? Coming back from I think it was Serie C.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, we love the guy, but he's stubborn. He's definitely
yeah,
very stubborn. We see that in a lot of our transfers. They seem to take forever because he won't budge. He wants things in a very certain way.
yeah,
I think that's why Sarri actually worked, because that's also how Sarri coaches. He's very,
fair enough.
very particular, and I feel like that's why it didn't really work out with Juve. First of all, he didn't have that much of a midfield, and
Right.
he loves playing through the
Tell me
mid.
about it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, ADL, the guy. I mean, he's got a lot of. He's really principled, and that's a lot of the reason that we came up from where we
Yeah,
were. But it's also the reason why I feel like we haven't been able to make that final leap, because when we need just that one more guy, it's
yeah,
just like, oh, he's like, oh,
we can
we
do
couldn't
it.
quite get him. And even this summer,
Yeah,
we could have reached for Boga. We could have reached for the Region guy who went to the Spurs.
yeah,
We could have reached for players, but at the end of the day, he wants to keep the books clean. He doesn't want to, reach for any guys, because he feels like they're worth this. But in today's market, even in Corona, you have to overspend, and
yeah,
he's not that type of president for sure. And everything goes through him. It's not. A lot of presidents like to delegate sometimes, but not this guy. Everything goes through him. All the meetings, all the final meetings are with him,
yeah.
and so it is what it is.
Yeah, no, I know. Like I said, I agree with you 100%, and I think that's the obviously Napoli fans' detriment. But I think when it comes down to, like, online, like, I don't know, you have your big personality Juve fans, I don't know if you know Kubani out of Toronto, and then obviously you have a Zuri fan, Phil, in Philadelphia. So it's like I just find that there's always been this like defense, and me personally with Juve, like that's why I get on my president as well. Is because it's like when you think you're doing and maybe it's just my mentality or whatever the case may be in terms of how I see myself and how I want to keep improving, in terms of in my job, my career, my business, my podcast, whatever the case may be. I always have this mentality that it's like you never settle for what you've done. You've done good. The next day you forget about what the hell you won. You could have won 100 trophies the day before. Next day's a new page. It doesn't matter because in this business it's so cutthroat. Like, and again, especially when you're not dealing where everybody's on a level playing field. We know that's not the case. We know that there's teams that have more money and there's teams that don't. So in terms of being able to stay up in that kind of and me personally, I'm not going to even lie to you. I thought Napoli was going to drop off this season completely. Them winning the first two games pretty handily. I did not say that in my season preview at all. So give us kind of how you're liking, the squad so far. Obviously, you had a big addition with Osimhen being a striker from Lyon, was it? Or was it Lille? Sorry. I think it was Lille.
Yeah, Lille, yeah.
Yeah. So how are you seeing kind of things come together? Maybe in the first two games, kind of give us your general thoughts on how Napoli's been playing.
Yeah. Last year, around this time, it was, pretty depressing with the whole Ancelotti situation and then the strike and all that. But since Reno came in, Gattuso, we love Gattuso, and so does the entire squad. And I think he's brought, I don't know, just a new fire to the team. And so, yeah, I'm right now at the present moment, I'm kind of in love. I think Osimhen is such an elegant player.
Right.
He hasn't scored yet, but he has just changed games. He had that very nice assist last game, and he's 21. He's young.
Yeah,
he's already showing that he can, even if he's not scoring, he can be vital. I think we're young. We have Elmas is a player. That guy, he's going to be a real player. We have young guys. We have him, Fabian, Osimhen, and then we have experience. We have Koulibaly.
Yeah.
We have Insigne, Mertens. So, I think our squad, and Lozano is coming into form.
Right.
So I think we're a really scary team right now. And it's unfortunate that, we had the injuries that we have and the whole situation that's going on right now. But
yeah, and actually, you just brought that up, that whole situation last year with the retreat, and I ripped into De Laurentiis like nobody's business. I thought that was a horrible move. I was shocked that like, to me, when you're the president, you have to kind of step away. You might see the club not progressing in your favor, but I think as a president, you have to know when to get involved and when not to get involved. And I thought that was just the complete wrong move, because from what was already a bad situation to now saying, oh, you have to go on this retreat, to then, literally taking their wages away and literally battling with you got then the players against the management. And it's just like, you're already in a bad situation with how you were playing. Now you're making it even worse by doing this thing. And let's call a spade a spade. The guy's a movie director. He's not like a motivational speaker. He's not from football. So it's like, it is what it is. So for him to be like, yeah, we need to go on this retreat and make it all about like, oh, this is going to solve it, when, it was just the wrong timing, right? There's an international break and guys don't know when they're going to be home or back. And then they have this. And I think, it was the wrong way of going about it. I think what it showed, like obviously Ancelotti did like kind of a reverse on it and was like, no, I don't support. And then he kind of did did support.
Yeah.
So it was like, the coach should just be at the liberty to just, he should be able to handle those players. So that, to me, I lost a lot of respect after that. I was just like, And then there was like a lot of defense from like Napoli fans saying like, it was a right decision. I'm not saying you, but like other players, other
Yeah.
people were saying like, these guys are spoiled, blah, blah, blah. Look, they make all these millions, all this stupid thing. And I'm just like, that's just a completely wrong way to go about it. But yeah, I know, like I said, the first 2 games, like you mentioned, it looks like you guys are blazing a trail ahead so far. I mean, it's still early, but it's always good to see wins, in a row and scoring goals. So for me, I was kind of like I said at the beginning of the season, or when I did my previews, we had 3 games and 3 games. First 3 games, I'd say, are the most difficult. I mean, Samp, okay, if you want to say whatever, maybe it's not that bad.
Right.
But we get the 3 promotion teams next. So you kind of want, like, this is your battle right here that you got to get through, right? I mean, I'm not to discredit the next 3 games that we have, but this is really where the tough test lies. So, I mean, we cleared Sampdoria, I think, quite clinically. I think they were very inclined to sit back. So it was kind of like one of the games in the return where it was good that we got the win. It was good that people scored, that the players scored, but I take it with a grain of salt. Then we go into the Roma game, and there were so many questions about what the lineup was going to be. And that's what frustrated me, because it's like, you're not really sure. Like, okay, so-and-so is going to be playing here. Okay, we're going to keep the same lineup. Okay, maybe Dybala can come back. And then, like, things were getting rotated. Okay, Kulusevski on the left. Oh, okay, really? Okay, now we're going to go to 4-4-2. Now we're going to do 3-5-2. It's just like there's no consistency yet. Pirlo's made some, errors so far with, not taking off Rabiot, not making substitutions. I mean, again, he's a new coach, so that's what we're going to have to deal with this year. But looking forward into this game, before any of all this shit that happened today, I would be tipped more to say Juve is kind of going to try and go, well, obviously it's a home game, but, maybe not necessarily dominating the game, but kind of just hanging in there, maybe try and get, go for the win. But depending on if Napoli comes out and plays hard, it's possibly a game to play for 1 point. So, like I said, especially the way you guys play, I mean, I'm sure you guys are looking to come in and win, make a statement. Again, not like Juve isn't, but just the way it is, it just seems like there's a lot of questions still. And not having De Ligt, and with the rumors of Danilo playing still as the third center back, it bodes a lot of questions of what we're really going to be doing this year. So, what are your thoughts on that, boss?
Yeah, I mean, so this was supposed to be our week. We were really looking forward to this, especially after last game, because the Giant is wounded, he's wobbling a little.
Yeah.
And we were ready to take our shot and really announce ourselves. Obviously you guys have a new coach. There's a lot of weird stuff going on. You're still struggling trying to find a formation, because at the end of the day, you finally got Morata, but there's a whole bunch of you guys have going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we think, we thought that, we could really come into the game and with the attack we have, really go at you guys, because we feel, and I think you guys also agree, that your defense is really a weak point, with Danilo.
Yeah. I think the last game, in like my opinion, sorry to cut you off, it's not that it's a weak point. I don't see it as a weak point. I just seen the way that we played last game was very, accepting of teams to come at 3 players. And that's just, the way I see us playing is you're going to have the midfields kind of help out, right? With having, you're going to have fullbacks, if either you play 3-4-1-2 or 3-5-2, those fullbacks got to go up and down. And, the 2 mids have to kind of help out. Like if one winger's going to go up, one of the midfielders is going to have to help them out, right? And come back and kind of hold on the fort. The way we played against Roma, it was like everybody up and leave the fucking 3 guys back. And you can swear on the show, by the way, if you want, but that's up to you. But I just don't see, I'm just like, that's not really how we want to play. So I wasn't shocked that Roma was taking advantage of us. It just all makes sense. And that's usually like when you look at tactics and you look at, how teams play, you could see what the problem is. Like it's pretty obvious when we can watch it on TV and you can then even rewatch it after the fact. It's just like that just seemed like something that wasn't picked up and wasn't changed throughout the game. So yeah, I mean, with Napoli being a team, and like I said when we had Sarri last year, even when we played against Napoli, I can't remember. I think that was in the Copa final.
Yeah.
I could see that you guys were in sync and making one touches and knew where to make runs and stuff like that. That's kind of the difference between what I thought. Like we weren't in tune to Saturday's game, and the players weren't really participating and making the right runs, knowing where guys are supposed to be. Then when I watch Napoli kind of still playing a similar style, not that it's like the exact same of what Sarri ball was when he played, but the guys knew where to make their runs. So we look at a game like this coming up now, I agree 100%. Like if it goes similar like last game, you guys could easily counter us and take advantage of that situation. So yeah, I think it definitely there was vulnerabilities in the back, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, so it's all about how Gattuso is going to approach it, but I think we're going to try to come out firing.
Yeah.
And I think that could potentially be dangerous because, we're probably going to play the 4-2-3-1.
Okay.
And, with our holding midfielders being Fabian and Zielinski, those guys aren't really very good defenders comparatively if you compare them to other CDMs. Right. So I think if we try to come out firing, you guys have Ronaldo, Morata. These guys can finish. So it's scary having, Fabian back there. Zielinski stays very forward, but, yeah. So I really wanted to watch this game, but
yeah, I think we'll get into that first before we the nonsense, because you touched on it with your analysis of how you guys play. So I kind of want to we'll get into that right away since we're touching on it, right? Obviously this is kind of a preliminary, lineup, and again, you can confirm better than anyone else if this is how you guys are going to line up tomorrow or not. But from what I'm seeing, Napoli 4-2-3-1, like you said. His eye left back, Koulibaly, Manolas, Di Lorenzo, Meret in goal. Yep. From what this said, it's obviously Serie A Analysis is one of the websites, but like you said, Fabian Ruiz and Demme as the other CDM. Is that correct?
Yeah. Also, we're not sure Zielinski, Fabian.
Right. And then obviously Elmas left mid or left wing, left mid, whatever you want to call it, in the three. Mertens in behind Osimhen and Lozano on the right. Is that kind of how you would
Wait,
see?
Who did it say was on the other side?
Elmas as on the left and Lozano on the right.
Yeah, well, Elmas has Corona. He just has.
Oh, does he? Oh, okay. COVID. See, okay, so we'll get into that a little, because from what I was hearing on the initial reports, right, they were were they saying that it was two officials had got, or was that Juve?
That was two officials of Juventus had gotten it. With right. Napoli, it was Zielinski and Elmas. So they were thinking, okay, Demme, Fabian in midfield, and then they would put Lozano on the left. And Politano on the right.
Oh, okay.
And so that's actually was really interesting to me, because Lozano plays on the left. That's really his position. It's just he's unfortunate enough that we have Insigne. So
so he's not gonna. Yeah.
Right.
No, makes sense. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, we'll see if that's even if that goes down for us. From what this website's telling us, and I think there was another one that I'll get into, but 3-4-1-2 has been talked about literally a million times this week.
Yeah.
Chiellini, Bonucci, Danilo, Tech and goal, obviously in the back. Now, whether you put Frabotas left, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. McKennie, Artur, and Cuadrado. I think Artur played a hell of a game against Roma. I think that was one of the bright spots.
Yeah.
That literally he was always moving, always on the ball, making good passes. Something that we really lacked. I mean, when you had and that's why I still prefer to go at the four at the back with like a four, essentially like Napoli's lineup, a 4-2-3-1.
Yeah.
But it is what it is for now. I mean, Ramsey's going to be at the 10 role, I guess, and Ronaldo and Kulusevski. So we'll see how it actually plays out if, like I said, we are allowed to see what a lineup is.
Right.
The only difference I've heard is instead of McKennie, Bentancur starts in the mid, and that's my preferred two mid. I would rather have Bentancur and Artur on the pitch. Obviously, when Dybala gets back, you'd have him in the 10 and then have Ronaldo on the left, Kulusevski on the right, and then Morata up top. But that's kind of my, best 11 if it's possible at any point. But yeah, that's going to be interesting. I mean, for us, like I said, if they come into this game thinking they're going to do the same thing and moving way too many. I know Kulusevski's going to be in a different role. He's not going to be on the left side now. He's going to be kind of roaming up top with Ronaldo, kind of moving in and around and getting into space. And Ramsey's going to really, try and link up. And Ramsey in that first game had done a phenomenal job. He was tackling a lot, like way too much. And was picked up a card, I believe, and was just, it was too much. And then, but he was finding, a lot of good passing lanes and through balls that I was actually surprised because, again, he was kind of he was the brunt of the stick that the midfielders were getting at the end of the last season, and Rabiot was really, shining, and now it's kind of like the roles have reversed as this season starts, even though it was only really a month away. We see some interesting lineups. We'll see how it actually plays out in the day if it happens. But let's kind of get into the situation. I know it's kind of weird that we're even having to talk about this because usually in a match day it's kind of like, okay, what do you expect? How do you see the game going? What's your predictions? That's kind of the stuff we usually like to talk about. Now we have this other issue, and like you said, so two Juve officials obviously contract COVID. Not a huge deal. Now, Genoa had a massive issue with, I believe it was 11 players.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm really upset about that. I think that's really shameful from them. But
so we get into the situation where, like, it's 11 or so players had COVID. And obviously, you guys played Genoa last weekend. So, okay, now we get into a predicament of, well, let's get everyone tested and let's see what happens. Well, obviously, like you said, two players now contract. The rules obviously are stating that, if you have a certain amount of players and the game should still go on. Now there's been some kind of developments where Napoli hasn't gone to Torino. And the decision of that is kind of, up in the air. Some people are saying, and like I said, I can't confirm. I know some people are saying it wasn't confirmed. It was confirmed. I'm not here to tell you yay or nay. My kind of thing is it's a tough situation. So I kind of get both ways. I don't like Napoli fans. I'll say this right now. I don't like Napoli fans saying like, oh, it's Juve. They're trying to like this, blah, 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 like all that kind of shit. That to me makes like literally you can just bang on and whine about it and whatever. That's fine. I mean, to me, it's not going to make the difference. So I see it both ways. I feel bad for Napoli because, yes, you're losing two key players. And, it seems almost like Juve is in a situation where they have a full squad, right? It's not like we've lost anybody. So you lose a little bit that way. Then I also see it in the league's kind of idea because you look at the game that was postponed this weekend for Genoa, right? Again, they had a lot of their players had tested. So that was the reason, right? And the rules set in place. But they won't be able to use that again. as far as I know. Like they won't be able to postpone that game again. So if they can't, let's say for whatever reason, play that game, it's probably a 3-0 loss, I'm assuming. Now, if let's say we did postpone this game, okay, that's a possibility, yes. But my thing is where do you draw the line then, right? So like let's say this game gets postponed and you got to move it to another date. Then next week, whatever, 4 players of who do we play next week? I think it's like Hellas or whatever. What if 4 players are theirs? Okay, then you have to reschedule that game. So at some point we have to assume some risk. And I know it's going to suck. Like I said, I'm not saying this is like, I know it's easier for me to say it because it isn't Ronaldo that has COVID or, Dybala or whoever, right? So it's easier for me to say it that way. I'm not gonna bullshit you. But at some point, Milan obviously had 2 players. They had to sit out. So it's been dealt with. And I know it sucks that, we're in the situation where it has to be like a Juve. It can't be like Napoli versus Crotone or whoever, right? It's Napoli versus Juve. So it sucks. Now, in terms of if they actually were like this local health, either being the police or the local health or local authorities not allowing them to go, okay, then that's another thing. So I want to kind of give us your thoughts on how you kind of thought initially about, what you think should have been done. Do you think it should be postponed? What are your thoughts on kind of the initial situation? And then we'll get into, the local authorities and whatnot and some other things that have come out. But
Yeah. There's a couple levels to it. But, first of all, when we played Genoa, they had 2 people held back. And we were like, oh, okay, we'll play because the rest of them were negative. Now 11 of them are positive. And I'm in university right now. I came into contact with someone with coronavirus, and now I have a 14-day quarantine.
right.
I tested negative after a couple days, and I said, can I leave? And they said no, because it can take up to 14 days to manifest. And this was our hospital. So my whole thing and a couple other, Napoli Tifosi, we were like, oh, it should be postponed because while, it's been 4 or 5 days
Right.
since the game and, we test negative, great, but they could all still have it. I mean, you see these pictures
but is it true? But is it true that the test can't this is my, my assumption about the coronavirus. So you can happen within you won't know technically for 14 days, right? That quarantine period. But if you get tested, I thought that was the whole, it can tell if, let's say you're asymptomatic and you don't know, or you don't have any signs.
Mm-hmm.
The test is going to give you the yay or nay.
Yeah.
That's my maybe I'm wrong. So like I said, don't, you could be, I mean, if you've talked to a doctor and if you've gone checked, then you would know. But that was my assumption on the whole coronavirus is if, let's say you are asymptomatic, you can go get a test and right there it's either okay you got it or you don't. So and like I said, they could be 100% right. Even if you get tested today, in a few days maybe things develop more where there's actually more coronavirus present that it can be picked up. And again, the tests, who knows now how good they are and how accurate they actually are in detecting the virus. But that I'll leave to the doctors and the lab technicians and stuff like that. But yeah, that was my assumption. So if that's the case, then yeah, that's something to worry. I mean, I only worry because I see it where we get into a situation where we do postpone these games, and I think you're right. It would be smart to postpone the game, but it's like, are we going to get into a situation like last year? That's the only thing I worry about.
Well, I think you get into a situation like last year if you have the game and then all of your guys test, positive.
But I mean like this, we're gonna get, so essentially they got it from there, right? But it's not necessarily like no one's living their daily lives anymore. So there's still, there's gonna be that big possibility of, okay, well, where did those guys get it from, right? Was it from another team, or was it when they went to, I don't know, to the mercato to pick up some groceries or whatever, right? that's what you got to start looking at. And then, okay, are these guys going out? Are they going out to restaurants? Again, this could rear its head again. We don't know what's gonna happen in the next couple months. I know in Canada the numbers are going up, especially in Eastern Canada, like Ontario, Quebec. I mean, even Alberta, yeah, they're going up, but not to their levels, but they're definitely spiking there. And yeah, I don't know. I think again, I wouldn't say it's necessarily unreasonable, but I also wouldn't. I don't see it the other way around where. Let's say it was in Napoli's favor, right? Let's say Ronaldo and Dybala were out, right? Sure, Juve fans would be pissed, but we got to get to some kind of standard, right? So I get your point on like infecting others. That makes 100% sense. But when it comes down to it, if the standard is you got 14 guys, you go, okay, that's what it is. If not, then who knows? They might be saying, well, okay, if we get if we start getting enough players sick or whatever the case may be, maybe we have to go in like a retiro or something. I don't know, but yeah, it was definitely interesting. Now
Well,
go ahead.
my only worry is not that. Okay, yeah, I get the 14 players rule. I'm not saying that because we don't have Elmas, we don't have Zielinski, we shouldn't play.
Yeah, I still think you got a hell of a chance still to win. Like, don't kid yourself. Like I don't feel any better just because those guys are gone. That's just the way it is. But anyways, you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole point because I wanted to get out of my 14-day quarantine after 8 days when I tested negative.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, it can take. And I was on the phone with the doctor. I was trying to appeal it, and they were like, we've seen cases where 14 days after coming in contact. They test
still
positive.
have it. Yeah.
So, and that's what happened with Genoa.
Yeah.
They had 2 players test positive out of all of them. Then they played us, and then 11 of them did. And you have pictures of guys breathing into like Osimhen's face and all this stuff. So, I mean, if those guys had it, I mean, they played a whole game. They were touching each other, all that stuff. So, I mean, and again, postponing it, it's hard because then when we play again, we'll have our players, and should those guys sit out? We don't know.
I like the thing is, it's not even that, right? Because then you get into different situations where, okay, let's say we get into that second date. Well, what if some other guys pick it up, or you guys have like, God forbid, like I said, I'm not wishing injury on anybody, but like, let's say some of your key players, then like maybe Koulibaly picks up an injury or whatever, then it's gonna be like. Oh, or let's say we're injured, then we're going to be like, oh, shit, like, it's never going to be – you're never – like, in this time, that's why I say it's not going to be perfect. That's kind of why I don't mind them going by the standard. And, hey, if Juve players contract and they got to move it, and that's just the situation, that's the situation we gotta as fans prepare for. But then you get into this weird situation where it seems like that's decided. Juve obviously on Twitter posts that they're gonna field players, which was to a lot of Napoli's fans dismay.
Everyone's going crazy about that.
Yeah, it was lit. Twitter was lit today, but and I mean I can understand why fans are mad because it's they're pretty much sticking the knife in, but especially when there's talks of forfeiting and if they don't show up, so. It didn't seem like so. Napoli obviously doesn't travel, and they say it's been blocked by a local health association. So then there's also some news that wasn't the case. That they just didn't choose to travel. Again, I'm not sure if like the first thing was true. I'm not sure if the second thing was true. Then there's another thing that's brought up. So Salernitana also had a game, and they were okay to leave. Even in this situation. So that brings up more like kind of, headaches. And then people are bringing up conspiracies. Well, it's like, is De Laurentiis doing this on purpose? And okay, typical Juve, the same conversation. So it's quite, Again, guys, I don't know. Like we were talking about this, it was weird because last week we had the rain and we didn't know if the game was going to get rained out. We thought that was the least of our concerns, and then obviously, game goes forward. I don't think actually the weather was bad during the game. Now that I remember, but it was just pretty shitty before, and it's it just seems that we're in this tricky spot that I think. And what doesn't help too is that the league, the Serie A, doesn't come out and say this is what the new situation is going to be. I think this could have been cleared up, way sooner than it did by just saying it was either they're saying the game's going on, this is the reason, we got to set a standard. This could happen in any game. Certain teams are going to have to deal with it. Certain teams are going to have to deal with it later on. Maybe now, some key players might go, this is the standard and this is how we're keeping it. If you miss one game, you'll get or whatever. If there's enough players that you can't make up a squad, you'll get a postponement game. If you can't make that game for whatever reason, then I'm pretty sure the rule is you forfeit it. And they could have just come out and said that quick and easy and whatever. Or they could have said, you know what, because of the circumstances, we understand that, there was some local health authority saying this, we're going to postpone the game to whatever, make it midweek or whatever the case may be, whatever they have to do. They don't do that. And then it's kind of like different reports are coming out through the news. So everybody's kind of going crazy and making assumptions. And this is the reason why, this is the reason why. And it's just like, I don't know. So to me, we'll see what happens. There's still, in Italy, it's about, what is it? It is 6 a.m. in Italy right now. So I'm sure all the morning reports are coming out and kind of getting into
reloading this page every 5 seconds.
Yeah, it's and then you have a full day, right? Because the game's going to be the later game, the latest game, the 12:30 game. So
yeah, they didn't leave. They haven't left.
And it wouldn't be out of the realm for them to make it before the game. Like I said, Italy's not a huge country, so
yeah.
If let's say it were to happen, but for them not being there now, it doesn't seem like it's going to be played. And then now all of a sudden, so it looks like they're not going to be there. And now we get into this forfeit and this 3-0 loss, right? That would be awarded an automatic, obviously in Juve's favor. Now, it's tough. Like when I look at games, when I look at things that happen like that, I would think, what would my idea be if that happened to us, right? Because so much shit has happened to Juve in the past, unfair treatment and trials, this, that, and the other thing. I am empathetic for decisions not going certain ways and stuff like that. I'm not every Juve fan is like, freaking out and saying, I think a lot of Juve fans were just pissed off that like Juve was being brought into it when it really wasn't in their hands at the beginning. At the end of the day, they could have sat back, not posted anything on social media, show up to the game. And at the end of the day, if the Lega Serie A says you got to play, 3-0 win, right? Like I'm saying, if like they did nothing, they just showed up, whatever. They didn't post it. They didn't say we're going to be on the pitch. They didn't kind of rile fans with that. Really, at the end of the day, it wouldn't have changed anything, right? So, to me, I don't know how you can give a 3-0 win. I just think you want to. That just puts more shit in play. Like, you do this, obviously it's a home game for us. 3-0 win is going to help tremendously, and then it's going to get on all the different. Then other teams are going to be looking. There's not like just Napoli and Juve in the race. There's Merda, there's Milan. But it creates a lot of problems going into the future. Having a game. To be honest, I it's tough. Like to me, I would have just for Napoli, I would have just showed up to the game. Like and then play your chance. You know what I mean? Like to me, it comes down to if the league doesn't want to listen to you and players are going to get sick, right? You feel that, by playing this game, we're risking, the further schedules to be fucked with. So be it. Just go play your game and let it be. And then when we get into bigger problems, you say, hey, we warned you guys. We said that there was a lot of these cases coming up. We don't know what the positive rates are, true, or we have a couple days. We still have about 9 days to go before like a true 14-day window would go. If you want to play with that risk, that's up to you guys. And then so be it. What happens in the game happens in the game. At least you play a game. At least it's two teams going. You don't have to deal with this cloud of 3-0. I know a lot of Juve fans were like, "We'll take a 3-0 win." I mean, to me, if that happened to Juve, I would be pissed off. I'm not going to even lie. And if, let's say, and that's why, like, some people are saying, "Well, I don't care if we take it." Other teams would have. Me personally, I hope that other teams also wouldn't take it, because it's just not the right way. There's been things in the past that have happened in Serie A where there's been teams that have been awarded a 3-0 win, this and that and the other thing, and it's just not a good look. So I wouldn't, to be honest, I'm not in favor of that. I mean, It might happen, but in my personal opinion, I want a game whether it's, two guys missing or not. I think that's just the best way. Now,
I mean, if that goes through, we will definitely never forget that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, like I said, it's definitely something like, if this were to happen, and the reason why, again, I say it like this: if this were to happen to Juve, where we lost a Scudetto on like a 3-0 like loss that was not played because we didn't want to play for COVID reasons or whatever, like that would piss me off extremely. Like, and Napoli, like I said, seems to be in the hunt. So I'm not saying it's going to be directly in like have repercussions in the future, but it definitely could. So, and then especially that 3-0, like that's a big goal margin. Like, to give 3 goals, I know someone brought it up.
Ronaldo.
Well, yeah, fucking 3 goals. Someone was saying on Twitter, like, what if we're tied on points at the end of the season? And you guys won 2-0 in the second game, and we win, or even if it was vice versa, like I said, if the situation was vice versa, I'd be pissed the fuck off. Like, I couldn't handle that. Like, that's a situation where you're like,
yeah,
what did you want us to do? So, I mean, don't get me wrong, I have complete understanding for what's going on. Again, I'll say this: it could have been handled way better. As always in Serie A, I find that we're always, they always make stupid decisions and they never keep people informed. And there's always an easy decision that can be made.
Yeah.
But I think they needed to make a decision and say, this is how it's going to be for the rest of the year. Sink or swim, whether people like it or not, and go by it. So if that means to start postponing games, so be it. If it's to keep what it is and actually just play the game and, hey, say fuck it, then that's what it is. But yeah, I don't know. So, guys, I can't tell you if the game's actually going to go on tomorrow. It doesn't seem like it. But if we are to, let's say, give a prediction, what were you expecting tomorrow if there was a game?
Man, I was gonna say 2-1 to Napoli. But if we play tomorrow and we don't have who we don't have,
yeah,
I would say 1-1.
Yeah, I was gonna say 2-1. I think Juve, and I always like to be positive about the results. I don't think I've ever said, I have said draws, but I don't think I've ever said like a loss to Juve unless I really felt shitty about the game. There's actually a certain couple games I can remember that I was like, yeah, I don't have the faith. Like, I do have the faith, but I don't. But yeah, no, 2-1. I think it's gonna be a really tough game. Not easy at all. You have a team that's on fire and a team that has the potential, but really has been in whirlwind. So I don't think I don't think it would be as smooth as we think it is. And yeah, it's crazy. And I hope doesn't come out with this is that, like, I hope what they're saying about De Laurentiis and saying that he didn't want the team to come. Like, I really hope that isn't true,
Yeah.
because like that's just such a shitty reason to, like,
Yeah. Well, then
fuck with the.
also you can't, then it's fucking on us. So
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's still like, then you still get into, like, okay, you know, he didn't, and this could have all been resolved. Like, we could actually still have played a game, and it's just like, it's
yeah,
not a good look, because then the problems don't stop here, because then what happens next week? What happens the week after that? And then it just keeps more things come up. We had enough shit in the last, season with, like, canceling, and then, okay, we're going to start again. And then it seemed like everything went pretty smoothly. I know it was a lot of games, short time, and whatever. If you want to believe it was an actual Scudetto win or not, or an asterisk percentage, that's up to everybody else. But to me, it went pretty smoothly. Now to have this kind of lingering today, and okay, so what happens if there's other positive tests in these other games that are all happen today or tomorrow? Then, like I said, we start getting into conversations that are not great. And I don't know. I mean, this virus seems to keep rampaging on, and
yeah.
it's not an easy, people's lives are at stake. So it's not, like a cut and dry, easy decision, because you don't want to risk, we know what the risks are. We know who we're vulnerable. And, but even still, at the end of the day, you don't know, what happens. Someone could get it, and, it turns the tide, and the next thing you know, the person passes away, unfortunately. So
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, it's crazy.
yeah. I mean, I was pissed off at Juventus earlier today, as can be seen in a lot of my tweets. But
Yeah,
I
I was
think,
gonna say.
yeah. But I think at the end of the day, it's really the league. I mean, they've got to, like, when this stuff happens, I feel like they sit back. Like,
Yeah, oh yeah.
they need to come forward and say what should happen. What I
Oh,
just
I
think
agree 100%.
the league itself, and it's always been like this.
Oh
This
yeah,
is
in general, not just now. I agree. Yeah,
yeah. This is why the league. This is why it's losing money. It's losing respect. This is why. Like, this is why, right?
yeah,
They don't come out. They don't say anything, and I just think that just things have just got to change.
yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. And we look back at, like, even when they were going to stop the last season, which games were playing, which games got to go ahead, and, like, you're gonna get backlash for that. It's just like either it's all or not. Like, when they were deciding, okay, which teams are going to play, which teams aren't going to play.
You've got all the handball shit going on. I mean,
Yeah, it's like, I think a lot more fans would like, and I don't know, maybe this is a shot in the dark, but I think a lot of fans would not necessarily agree more, but I think there would be more of a tempered reaction if, like, you look at, like you said, with the handball shit. Like, if last year they were like, you know what, we brought these new rules in, it seems like they're really excessive. We're getting a lot more penalties than we think should be given. There's a lot
fucking
of
8
mistakes.
billion penalties a game.
Exactly. And it's
Jesus.
like they can almost come out and just be like, we've seen a lot of mistakes. We're going to correct it. But they're not really like, Serie A has never really been a proactive league. And that's the problem. It's like, fans, I think, would respect it more, again, like I said, if they just came out and were like, you know what, guys, that was just a complete fuck up on our part. We made the mistake. We're going to try and fix it. These rules are rules on what we determine as a handball. They've changed obviously this year, so the refs are getting used to it. Some guys are seeing it like this. This is what we're going to mandate, going forward. This is how we want it done, and then go forward like that. But so when you see it like 50 times where, okay, this guy's given a handball, this guy's not given a handball in the same situation, for this team, that team, and the other team. And I know what happens to all like a lot of teams. It's not just one, because I think even looking at last year, I think Juve had the record most penalties against that we've ever had in a season. And so it's like I just find that they never, I don't know if it's an ego thing or what, but it's just like
Yeah.
no one can ever come out. And I thought that's what VAR was going to be there for, was there to be like, okay, we fucked up. We have it on camera, like fucking make the right decision. And it's kind of been like
Just got worse.
wishy-washy rules and what you can use it for, and like I remember there was one that was against us, and well, like I said, most of the stuff that I'm going to remember is whatever happens in Juve games, but I remember where it was like someone got fouled like 2 minutes or in the run of play before, and I'm like, what the fuck can you review? How is that even a possible review?
Yeah.
Like, there's so many stupid. It's like you can, and I always have a problem with like either it's got to be black and white. So it's got to be, with offsides, you got to accept the fact that they're going to call a hair offside, or you don't use it at all.
Yeah.
So it's like hockey, right? Like in hockey, they came up with this offside camera, okay? And it just got out of hand. People were like, coaches were just fucking every goal. It seemed like it was like, oh, the guy was possibly offside. Like, even if it happened like 3 minutes earlier, they're like, oh, it was possibly happened and it didn't leave the zone. So I was like, oh, yeah, call it. And then they go back, they look and, oh, the guy was offside, but it didn't even affect the play at all. So it's like, you get into these habits of like taking advantage of it. And I'm just like, one, that's not what the rule's for. But I do get it that it's there. So it's like, to me, I would just be like, well, scrap that entirely because it's not necessary. The refs are humans. They're going to make mistakes. But if they're not going to fix everything now that you have the tool, then you're not using the tool to its intention. So it's like with goal line technology, right? We kind of got into it on La Panchina, which is a live show where we kind of we film our reactions, or well, Roman and Al who run the page, we all kind of come together with different fans, and we have our, and that was my first time on the show, and we film our reaction. Well, there was one where the ball was like literally in the Samp game where it was literally a hair from going in, and one of the guys, Graham, was like, oh, that's pretty much a goal. And I'm like, well, and one of the other guys, Albert, was saying, technically, no, it isn't a goal because it hasn't crossed completely. And that's what you get when you have the technology. You have to use it to the full extent. Now, maybe in real time, if there isn't Hawkeye where he can look at his wrist and be like, oh, it says no goal, whatever. The guy might say, yeah, it looked like it went in, right? If you argue with the ref, but no, across the line. But when you get that technology, now you have to use it to its exact, whether you think it's fair or not, right? So at the end of the day, I think, yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think there's lots of shit that needs to improve, and the league can do a hell of a better job in lots of situations, not just stuff like this. But I don't know. For me, I still don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but we'll get into some of these questions that the fans have asked, just to clear up before we head out here. But yeah, it's funny. I didn't know what I was gonna get. I didn't know if you're gonna get abuse or not, but it seemed like it was pretty. It was all good. It was all good. A lot of the guys I talk with are pretty level-headed. Okay, so first question. BW Circles, my buddy Nilesh, thank you for the question. He wants to know, who do you think Napoli's best player is on your roster?
Well, okay. That's a tough question. I mean, I have a soft spot for Insigne, obviously.
Yeah.
I think just the way he creates chances. I mean, I guess he's technically not our best player.
Maybe two. I mean,
you could say Koulibaly, you could say Koulibaly or Mertens, but if I would take anyone, I would take Insigne. I think he's our most important player. Obviously, he's our capitano. He would literally die for the club.
Yeah.
He would die for me. just because I'm a fan.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think if you don't say Insigne, you're, you know,
There you go. Okay,
yeah,
next question. James Martino, thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. How is Sarri viewed now after a season with Juve? Or what are your opinions on him? Maybe, obviously, you know
yeah.
what
I
other
mean,
fans of the kind of the general consensus is, but
yeah, I mean, uh, he is what we thought he was. He's a really system based coach. He's not going to really inspire a team. He plays how he plays, and if you know his team isn't following exactly what he wants to do, things aren't really going to work out. And that was the beauty of like when he had Jorginho.
yeah,
That's why when he went to Chelsea, he really wanted Jorginho, so he got Jorginho
yeah,
instantly. Uh, so yeah, I mean, he needs midfielders that are going to get 90 plus touches a game, that are going to facilitate, yada yada yada.
yeah,
And that just wasn't how it went down at Juve.
yeah,
You're not going to come in and tell Cristiano exactly where to go because he's the best.
yeah.
So I mean, it's just hard, and I feel like he didn't. And obviously, you probably know more than I do, but the Juventus players they weren't feeling
Yeah.
it, you know.
Yeah, no, I definitely think there was a lot of lack of respect
Yeah,
and not really buying into the general plan, even though it really seems like this year Pirlo is doing really similar work to what was supposed to happen last year. So I just in that whole sense, I don't like this whole situation because it's like, as a player, at least in my head, you want to have some. You lose a lot of credibility when you get paid all this money, you put on the jersey with the logo on that so many people love and so many people are paying, whatever, buying jerseys, tickets, when buying subscriptions to watch you guys every weekend. And then all of a sudden, a lot of players are like, you know what, that coach wasn't fun or that coach wasn't this. It's like, at the end of the day, whether you don't like the guy or not, you got to kind of come out there, go out there, and you could say, okay, I guess they did. They won the Scudetto, but like, you got to go out there and still put your best foot forward, still bust your ass. And,
yep.
okay, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But like, to me, I lose. And that's kind of one of the things I said. I know Ramsey came out and said, well, it's a much better. And then Cristiano had some comments as well, blah, blah, about, what it was like. And I'm just like, yeah, but like, so what are you trying to say? Like, you put a guy out to dry? I mean,
Yeah,
if you don't want a guy there, or you don't think he's you don't go out the way you did against Lyon and perform like the way you did against Lyon, and then all of a sudden just like somehow like earn respect because like you got a guy fired. Like, to me, you go out on your shield, like whether you don't like the guy or not. Like, you maybe beat Lyon, go to the next round, and whatever. If you play Man City and you lose or to a better team, whatever. But not that way.
yeah. I
I
mean,
wasn't a big fan of that.
yeah, that was something that was weird for me to understand because I'm live in
Yeah,
America. I play American football
right.
immediately, and you always respect your coach,
Yeah,
no matter what, even if you think the guy doesn't know a thing.
yeah,
So it was really confusing. I was like, wow, especially watching like Ronaldo. I
yeah.
was like, wow, he really does not.
Yeah, no, I think that was just like, as soon as that whole subbing him off thing happened, and I want to say November or October, whenever the fucking international break was. And then he went on to go and play against like Lithuania, and like, don't even get me started on what your Ronaldo fans think of that bullshit. But like the people were defending. It's like, yeah, they needed him to qualify against Liechtenstein and fucking
Yeah,
Lithuania. It's like,
yeah,
dude, like, really? He needed to go? I mean, okay, if you want to go stat pad, at least fucking admit it, and you want to go score 3 goals to stat pad against those teams. Or like, it's like, no, they weren't guaranteed qualification. It's like,
yeah,
you could have put your C team out there and you still would have beat them handily. So it's like that. So I think after that happened, it was like there was probably kind of maybe nervous optimism at the beginning, which turned into, okay, I don't like this guy at all, and then it just turned, and then you just hear some things that happen at practice. But I don't know. It's just, I mean, it's done now, so it's not nothing we have to worry about. But just wanted to see kind of how your thoughts on Saturday were. Next question, Nilesh, obviously with another one. I know you touched on it before, but kind of expand on what your thoughts on the impact of Gattuso is, and really, what he means to the players as well as to the city. I know he's from the island, no?
Yeah,
Yeah, so
I think so. Yeah, he looks like it.
yeah,
Yeah,
so kind
yeah,
of soft spot for someone that
yeah,
is now obviously coaching your team. But go ahead, my friend.
yeah. I mean, basically piggybacking off what we were just talking about,
Yeah,
we love the guy because he's fiery. He demands respect. He's really likable in the first place, right?
yeah,
We're a team of passion.
yeah,
Our players are passionate. Insigne, what got him to where he is now? He's passionate. He's fire. He plays with fire. He's little. He's 5'3". He's 5'4".
yeah,
The guy wasn't supposed to make it, but he's just a player. He loves the game. He's passionate. We have these types of guys, and we have guys that listen. If they don't listen, then they go. Right? Higuain gone. You know,
yeah,
Milik now butt heads with him. Now he's gonna go.
yeah,
Right? The players we bring in like Cavani, Osimhen,
yeah,
Mertens, they listen to the coach. It's just that's just the way the team is. Koulibaly, very soft spoken, just humble. These are the guys that it's such a perfect fit.
yeah,
Like with Gattuso, obviously we thought he was going to be an interim coach, but just the way it's been working out, the guy is fantastic.
yeah,
Maybe he'll mess up tactically here or there. He'll take too long to sub someone on, as we saw with the Barca game. He didn't sub Milik on until I think the 79th. Instantly comes on and gets a header. But
yeah.
that is what it is. But in terms of the relationship and the intangibles of a coach, the guy he has everything, and just the more experience he gets, the better he'll get, But we definitely love the guy.
Yeah, so I just looked it up because I had to, but he's not from the island, but he's close. He's in Calabria, which is
Okay.
kind of a similar
Yeah.
mentality from obviously in and around Cosenza. But yeah, no, definitely can understand, and even like in relation to Napoletani, kind of a similar mindset. So
Yep.
I kind of think that it was a match made in heaven, but. Yeah, no, definitely good to see him. When we were watching the Copa and just seeing the celebrations when obviously you guys won was hard for us, but kind of respect that he won it because he done such a good job of bringing the team together, like you said, in a situation that was kind of fractious. So I kind of had respect for that. I didn't mind that, but yeah, no, definitely good to see him back, especially from some of the clips in Greece with
Yeah.
OFI, which is pretty hilarious. If anyone hasn't seen that, check that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially when he's got the translator next to him. Oh God! But anyways, um, and I don't know if this is like a troll or a robot or what, but someone posted Mohamed Salah or Lionel Messi. Yes.
Oh, I know that guy. That guy's the Liverpool fan.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I'll take Messi, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think you got to take Messi. I think Messi's it's difficult. I think Messi's a very he's a very system like Ronaldo. I would say Ronaldo. I think they're both very system players. Like they have to be in the right environment because I mean, you look at Argentina and when it's not going Messi's way, they're struggling.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, that's the difference between Messi and Ronaldo, I think. I don't think Ronaldo is a system player. The guy we saw in Lyon, the guy the whole team could. No one was playing well, but
Yeah.
Ronaldo, the guy didn't care. He said, "I'm going to take it for myself."
Yeah.
Messi, the guy, he's not. Ronaldo's stubborn.
So the reason why I say Ronaldo is kind of a system, because if you've looked at Juve over the past, couple years when he's been here, it's very hinged upon obviously him starting, but
yeah,
him playing the way he needs to play. So you can't say, okay, we're gonna put this system in place. Ronaldo, you're gonna move this way. You're gonna go here. You're gonna help out the defense when the ball's on this side of the pitch. You're gonna come back. You're gonna reverse, flip the ball around. You can't do that with Ronaldo.
yeah.
So Ronaldo is the system by the system I'm talking about is literally do whatever the fuck he has to do.
yeah.
Now, and that's just facts. I mean, if you've watched him, I mean, he says he doesn't like to play striker. What he really is trying to say is, I don't like to play in a fixed role where I have to listen to rules and I have to, play a certain style, move a certain way, go a different certain direction. That's essentially what I'm talking about. And so I think in their own ways, they have like kind of a certain mindset where Salah has been. And I'm still going to pick Messi, but I think you got to give Salah credit from coming from Roma to like just lighting it up like he did. I mean,
Phenomenal.
really, it's unbelievable to see. And I mean, whatever, people have their opinions on who they think is the best and not, but I think he's been a phenomenal player. Obviously in a good system as well, because everyone in Liverpool Liverpool's a very heavy system team where they know their roles and they know how to play, and each guy kind of knows. Even though you look at their midfield, it isn't that great, I would say, or it's not like top class, but definitely can get the job done, and has his weaknesses in itself. But no, I definitely I have respect for the guy, but just for the sake of it, I'd probably pick Messi anyways.
His left foot. Oh my god!
Yeah.
I still remember the goal.
Well, yeah, against you guys, like I couldn't believe it because, well, one, I was watching that game and I'm like, these calls are just horrendous, and like literally, well, and that's another. You look at VR in that situation there, so like the guy gets pushed. Literally, I swear it happened. The foul happened like right before that game, because
That was terrible.
literally we get a review call, and I swear it was in Serie A. And a guy gets like hit like a minute late before, and they call it, and they're like, "Oh, the goal doesn't count because there was a foul." Then I'm watching this game, and I think I watched maybe like till it kind of got out of hand, and then I flipped it off. But like, you see this where the defender clearly shoves the Napoli player and heads the ball into, and they don't even go to review. It's like, what?
Yeah, that was against Bar.
Yeah.
That was Barca. That was just.
I could not believe it. And like, that's just the fact those are just the facts, man.
Oh my god.
Where it's just like, why do we have these things in place? But yeah, I know that's crazy. And that's kind of all I got for questions. I had one question for you though before we kind of wrap it up. At the beginning of the season, it seemed like, in terms of getting rid of Milik and some other players, obviously there was rumors that Koulibaly was going to be headed out. What were your thoughts on the whole, this whole transfer window? And, it seemed like Napoli, and there was a rumor out there that Napoli had to kind of financially restructure, and that's why like these players were on the market.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen, we have really clean books, and that's what ADL has prided himself on.
Okay.
And yeah, so I mean, the Osimhen deal took forever. He was always about to come for like a month.
Yeah.
And that's just how it is with ADL. But we were linked with guys, and we were talking to guys.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of fizzled out or whatnot. They wanted a loan. ADL wouldn't budge.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I was disappointed with the transfer window for sure. But I mean, now we're getting Bakayoko, who's a player.
Oh, okay.
he's basically what ADL wants. He's a tough player. He can dribble, he can pass, he can defend and intercept. But I think, yeah, I think we could have done better. But I think Osimhen is fantastic.
Yeah.
I love the guy. But.
Yeah, that's kind of where my, that's where I think my initial like preseason doubts was because, you see them pick up Osimhen, and I think it was pretty early they picked him up, if I remember correctly. Big money spent, and then it was just kind of like silence for a really long. And I know, obviously, towards the end of the window it starts heating up and things start going, but I didn't really see the kind of reinforcements that even not a lot of teams were reinforcing, but Merda was reinforcing. Milan was picking up players. Juve adding, a couple guys here and there that we could possibly make the deals, right? With Pjanic going and Artur coming in and stuff like that. And Napoli was just kind of just sitting there, like not doing anything. So I'm just like, are they just kind of like passing on the window and maybe like waiting till COVID gets better? So those are my kind of initial thoughts, guys. But I mean, it looks like it's been paying off in spades. The past couple games, like I said, have been pretty tremendous. But yeah.
Well, I mean, I think the main thing that was holding us back was we had Mertens playing striker, and the guy is 5'7". So what are you gonna do there? And now we have Petagna, we have Osimhen. Petagna is a player. The guy scored like all of Paul's goals last year with no help.
Yeah.
So he's a player. Osimhen's good, and I just think last year after that whole kerfuffle with the retreat shit, I mean, we were fucked from that point on.
Yeah.
So the fact that we won, the fact that we were able to pull out the Copa was huge. But I think that it was a little bit. I mean, I think we all overreacted, but I think that it was just we weren't as down bad as it
it seemed.
It was as it seemed.
Fair enough. But
yeah.
Well, man, thank you. I want to say thank you for coming on. It was a pleasure. I know there's gonna be another Napoli game, so we'll probably have you back on. I'll probably get another guest as well. Might as well spice it up. But maybe we'll get two Napoli. Maybe we'll get a Azzurri fan, Phil. I don't know. Maybe I don't know if he's blocked me or not yet. But anyways, but yeah, it's been a pleasure. It was nice talking. I don't know if this game will happen tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see if maybe it's finalized, maybe it isn't. Maybe they'll come to a decision. Maybe they'll postpone it. I don't know yet. Let's wait and see what happens. But yeah, thank you guys. Obviously, at Napoli Sansone on Twitter, if you guys want to check them out. Obviously, any Napoli fans, even Juve fans, I like having chats with not only just Juve, but all over the board.
Yep.
Football is football, culture is culture. So it's always nice to have a chat. And thank you for coming on. I appreciate you giving me the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Forza Napoli.
There we go. So, guys, you know where to follow me at Juventinita DAL for Instagram, Twitter. Juventinita Back to Black and White podcast on all the main platforms: your iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Podbean. I think we're on TuneIn now. We just got accepted, and I think we're possibly going to be on Amazon soon. So if that's any of those platforms, I know we want to try and get it out as wide reaching as we can. And I hope to actually start posting some more. I got to get back into it. I got to find some motivation. I don't know what this week has done to me, but we'll definitely get on it, guys. And we'll get you that Champions League group stage draw kind of review. And we got lots of great guests coming on. I was hoping to actually move Roman from UV therapy after this game. I don't know if that's going to necessarily happen. Maybe we'll just talk. Maybe I'll try and get a live stream going or something. I don't know, fucking just for shits, and bring you guys all, whoever can make it tomorrow on at a certain time, and just talk Juve, talk to what's going on, talk to transfer market because that's coming to an end. And I hope to get Max Statman on, actually, my our transfer guru here. So hopefully we can get him on. And like I said, guys, thank you for all the support as always. You know where to find us. And as always, fino alla fine, Forza Juventus. Ciao, guys.